Okay, so we are on NTI day 1. So our first NTI passage is online identity. So this is one of the ones that I chose because I feel like you guys can relate to this a little bit more. Because I feel like a lot of you have your own online identity. If you have a TikTok, if you have Instagram, if you have Facebook, you're always posting things. So you're posting there your online identity. So first, I kind of want to show you a video that goes along with online identity, and here it is.
I'm Ramona Pringle, and this is Our Digital Life. As we spend more and more time connected to our digital devices, we now live in two worlds, living digital double lives.
Winston Churchill says we build our buildings and then our buildings make and shape us, and he was very close to Marshall McLuhan, who said, we create our media and our media then in turn makes and shapes us. I mean, we're building our cell phones and our cell phones are making and shaping us.
The internet gives us the ability to craft our ideal personas, but to what extent can we control who we are online, and to what extent are we bound by who we are in the real world?
Inherently, we want to be more like ourselves. We want to be healthier, we want to be better, but better versions of who we actually are.
Living in public all the time and having our thoughts and actions archived for eternity. Are we really free to be ourselves online? Or are we constantly performing, constantly being watched, and plotting our actions like updates in a strategy game?
Not only can anyone get their 15 minutes of fame, well, they can get 15 seconds of fame every single day if they really wanted it, because the ability to get attention is available to anyone.
No one will know about you unless you're online, unless you put it up there. I'm constantly thinking about it, I dream about it, nightmares, I have anxiety, I check my rank every day like stocks.
From social media statuses to avatars, we connect and communicate and create parallel selves living parallel lives.
People who think they lose control by putting stuff online, you actually have control.
It seems as though you go online and you can construct any identity you want, but what seems to happen for a lot of people is that who they are prevails and almost gets distilled down to some sort of intense essence of who they are online.
How does this split impact our sense of self, our identities? Which version of you is most true?
Okay, so that was kind of an intro to online identity. Okay, so first we're going to start off reading here. So it says, consider the different ways we express ourselves, especially in the new age of technology. The internet has heavily shaped our notion of identity. On the internet, people can create a multitude of personas, some of which can be created with false information. So what I kind of gather from that reminds me of the show Catfish. So you can use your online identity to show like your true self, or you can show your online identity as someone you wish you could be, someone with false information. Okay, so it says, as you read, take notes on the ways in which people express their identity on the internet. Okay, so that's kind of things that we're going to know when we read. Okay, so first we're going to read online identities. An online identity, sometimes called an internet persona, is an identity established by a user to interact with others through social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, blogs, or multiplayer games. Although some people use their real names online, many internet users prefer to be anonymous, identifying themselves by pseudonyms. Okay, so again, we usually do this a lot, and I mention it every time that we do commonly in class. If you click here, it'll tell you the definition. So a pseudonym is a false name. So basically, if there's people on the internet or authors, there's some authors that go by pseudonyms. If they don't want people to know who they are, they use pseudonyms. Okay? So some users can be deceptive about their identity. Users express online identity both explicitly and implicitly. Users express themselves explicitly through usernames, pictures, and the information about themselves that they choose to give others, such as their hometown. They can also explicitly express their identity by choosing an avatar, an icon-sized graphic image, or by creating user profiles in social media networks, such as Facebook. Implicitly, Users express their identity through what they say to other users, and the opinions they express. As other users interact with an established online identity, it gains a reputation, which enables them to decide whether the identity is worthy of trust. Okay, so next we're going to be reading this. So it says the reliability of online identity and the mask effect. So based on this here, mask. Oh, usually when people wear a mask, you think, oh, they're trying to hide themselves. So maybe this is what this is going to be about. Okay, so social networking services and online avatars have made the notion of identity far more complex, because the identities that people define in the social media are not necessarily the identities that they actually have. So again, this is kind of like the catfish. For example, several studies have shown that people lie about themselves in online dating profiles or in communication with potential partners. A person may feel that she is able to lie about her identity on the internet because it creates a mask effect, where no one else can see her true self. Social theorists believe that whenever an individual interacts with others online, she portrays a mask of her identity, not her true identity. This is partly due to the fact that in some online contexts, such as Facebook, she must answer specific questions to create an online profile. Further, as she begins to interact with others, she adds more and more layers to her mask through the vocabulary she uses and the topics she writes about. The kind of mask one chooses reveals at least something about the person who chooses it. While the online mask does not reveal the actual identity of the person, it does reveal an example of what lies behind the mask. For instance, if a person chooses to act like a rock star online, this may mean that he or she has an interest in rock music. Even a person choosing to hide behind a totally false identity says something about the fear and lack of self-esteem he or she may be experiencing. So, relation to real world physical and sensory constraints. Online identity offers potential social benefits to those with physical and sensory disabilities because others cannot see them. These users can free themselves from their disabilities by creating online personas that are not disabled. This is called disembodiment and gives these users the opportunity to operate outside the constraints of social stigmatization. They can be treated on their merits as a person, rather than being seen as someone inferior due to a disability. So that's fair. It's kind of explaining like maybe you have someone in a wheelchair and they want to make this online persona of them, of a person that is able to walk. This is kind of an example. This is kind of like what that's talking about. Okay, so now we have concerns. Since most concerns about virtual identity revolve around the contrast between online and offline existence, the ability to challenge the notion of what real means has raised questions about how virtual experience may affect one's offline emotions. Okay, so now we have our question. So I'm not gonna tell you the answer. No, I never do. But I'm gonna kind of help you get through it, okay? So our first question with part A. Okay, so part A. Which of the following best describes the central idea of the article? So mostly here to answer this question, you're going to say, okay, what is this whole article about? What is the main idea of this passage? Okay? So mostly, remember how we talked in class with part A questions? You have to remember what you have for part A, for part B. Okay, so part B says which phrase from the text best supports the answer to part A. So make sure whatever answer that you choose for part A goes along with part B, because those two go together, okay? So whatever you get on part A, see which one of these matches it. Okay, number 3. Alright, so we're going to go to paragraph 6 here. So right here is, so we have part A. What does the word stigmatization mean as it is used in paragraph 6? So you guys already know when we try to define a word and we don't really know the meaning, we use context clues. So one of the context clues that we use a lot in class is kind of looking at what is in front of a word and what is behind the word. Okay, so let's look here. So right here is stigmatization. So we have A, standards, B, portrayals, C, approval, and D, judgment. So it says this is called disembodiment and gives these users the opportunity to operate outside the constraints of social stigmatization. They can be treated on their merits as a person rather than being seen as someone inferior to a disability. Okay, so which one of these makes sense? After you read this last sentence here, after stigmatization, which one makes sense after you read this? Okay. I will tell you now that it is not approval and it is not portrayals. So that leaves you with A, standards, and D, judgment. Okay, number 4, part B. So again, we have another part A, part B question. So we have to remember what we have for part A to answer this question. Which one of these will go best with your part A question, okay? Alright, and now you have your short answer. So it says, how does paragraph 5, so it won't go for some reason, but I'll just tell you what to do. So, how does paragraph 5 contribute to the development of ideas in the text? Cite evidence from the text to support your answer. So right here, obviously, it says to cite your text. Okay, so you know every time that we do these short answers that we use the race method. Okay, so it's telling you to go to paragraph 5. We'll try it again. So it's asking you how this paragraph, hopefully it will highlight to you, for you. So it's not highlighting for me. I'm not having very much luck with that. So how does paragraph 5 contribute to the development of ideas in the text? Okay, so we've had a question like this before. We've had a short answer like this probably when we did our hero unit. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to look at paragraph 5. So hopefully for you it will highlight it for you. If not, just count down the paragraphs. So you're going to look at that paragraph and read it. Okay. If I were you, I would probably make little notes on the side of that paragraph and be like, okay, what is this paragraph saying? How does it contribute to this text? How is it helpful towards this text? Why do we need this? How does it contribute to the main idea or the central idea? Okay. So if you have any questions or anything over this NTI Day 1 work, just message me on Google Classroom, message me on Remind, okay? Good luck!